Hello, peoples. We're almost done. We've almost created Socialist Spira. I have a meeting at 3, and then practice at 4. Second practice at 4. But I figured we'd get a gaming stream in while I have like an hour of time in between. I didn't know what else to do, so might as well be somewhat productive. And by productive, I mean talk about socialism while playing a video game. If you want to call that productive. Yeah, we're almost done with this game. We're nearing the end. We've almost made Spira Socialist. We've almost completed the revolution in this game. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. Now we defeated one of the last bosses last time. Pretty impressive, I know. Messed this up. What's up, Jacob? Long time no see. I feel like it's been a while. I mean, you're always here for the gaming streams. I feel like it's been a while since you've been in the regular streams. I miss you. Just kidding. I know you're busy. I'm busy too, as you can see. Turning Spira into a socialist utopia where all the Final Fantasy characters can live in peace without being exploited by the church. How's your reading been going, Jacob? I've been hammering Capital Volume 3 lately, actually. I've been really getting back on my reading grind. It's good. I feel like Capital Volume 3 is more interesting than Volume 2 just because, like, 3, 1 is about the production of value. 2 is about the circulation of value and, the sale of value. But then 3 is about the circuit of capital being completed. So after you sell that value, you get your money and you reinvest it back in production. So the circuit starts all over again, with an accumulation of capital for the capitalists usually. So in looking at how capitalists continue production and reinvest the money that they sell in production, the analysis starts to come to some conclusions about how like capitalist crises happen. Which is really, really interesting because obviously those are things that we've all experienced in the real world. So you think about like capitalists need to maintain a certain amount of sales. They need to produce a certain amount of value and sell a certain amount of value in order to continue producing at a normal rate. Because like I said, they have to take money and reinvest it in more labor, more raw materials, more machines, the elements of production. So if they don't make enough money in their sales, production starts to shut down, right? And if production starts to shut down, they might have to go out of business and all their workers get laid off. All their workers lose their jobs. Well, if all the workers lose their jobs, that means there's less money in the economy total. Those workers aren't making their wages anymore. Buy commodities from other capitalists. So then other capitalists start to go out of business as well, and it kind of creates this chain reaction of crisis because capitalists aren't able to valorize the value that is created in production. So I just think that stuff is really interesting. And Volume 2, he's really setting up that argument. Volume 3 is when he starts to come to some conclusions about it, though. My reading is going nicely. Good. What book are you on right now? What's up, East Germany? Cool to have a whole country in the stream. We were just talking about Capital Volume 3 and crises of overproduction. which are finally starting to make more sense to me, thanks to Volume 3. But there are all sorts of different crises that can happen too. Actually, Marx intended to write a book all about crises that just focused on the different kinds of crises that can happen. Financial crises, monetary crises. I don't even know what all the categories are. We did an interview with Radhika Desai once, the great Marxist political economist, and she had done what Marx wanted to do eventually and systematized all the different kinds of crises and how they happen. But yeah, that was Marx intended to write like 9 volumes of Capital, and that was going to be one of the volumes. Was crisis theory, is systematized, but he never got around to it. I mean, there were intended to be 9 volumes, but not all of them would have been as big as volumes 3 or 1. Volume 2 is about half the size of volume 3. Like, some of the things that Marx wanted to write a book about, like the crisis theory, had kind of already been laid out in volume 3. He just wanted to expand and systematize the argument and make it easier for people to learn and understand the different kinds of crises. So, if that was to become its own volume, it probably wouldn't have been like as long as volume 1. So it's not like he wanted to write 9,000 word texts, but it's still kind of crazy that he thought it was going to take 9 full volumes of Capital to actually do a comprehensive analysis of the capitalist mode of production. But that's why it's our job to carry on his work for him and continue applying Marxist analysis.
Looks like the
a whole country that died over 4 decades
enough.
ago. Don't remind me, East Germany. Rest in peace. Shout out to Victor Grossman. Anyone who wants to understand East Germany, read Victor Grossman. He's got a good thing about the Berlin Wall, specifically, too. The Berlin Wall makes a lot more sense to me now that I've studied not just Venezuela, but the way that the U.S. uses Colombia, which shares a border with Venezuela, to attack Venezuela. There's all this money that goes into Colombia offering jobs and money for skilled laborers who leave Venezuela, who will immigrate away from Venezuela. So what they're doing is basically bribing engineers and skilled workers and people who are necessary to keeping their economy going, keeping their industry going, keeping their agriculture going. They're bribing those people to leave, to try to weaken the economy. They're saying, you can make more money as a skilled worker over here. We'll give you a straight up bribe, and then we'll give you a cushy position with some corporation if you leave Venezuela and the socialist project behind. So that's made it a lot harder to run all their factories and run their oil industry and whatnot. So yeah, it makes more sense to me that East Germany would need some kind of border policy or some kind of a stricter border policy to stop skilled laborers from leaving because they got bribed by the imperialist powers. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not something that you want to do, but kind of a necessity if you want to keep your economy going. That's like every act of authoritarianism. Like, obviously that's what the U.S. calls it, and there's some like legitimate cases like that, like building a wall. It's utilizing government authority to try and stop the movement of people from one place to another. So I guess you could legitimately call it authoritarianism. But almost every act of authoritarianism from socialist governments is a response to imperialism, right? And what the U.S. and what the bourgeois media does and the bourgeois education system is just looks at it in a vacuum. Look, the Berlin Wall was stopping people from leaving. Look how they infringed on people's freedom. They did it for no reason, just because they're communists and they hate freedom, and they just wanted to punish the people and keep them in one spot. That's how the bourgeois media portrays it. But in reality, it's a response to imperialism bribing skilled workers to leave so they can destabilize the target country's economy and prevent them from building up their productive forces and building up their industry. So like every legitimate act of or use of authority, almost always in response to like reactionaries or imperialism. RIP to my favorite former socialist country. RIP. Why is it your favorite? How do you pick a favorite? That's tough. Oh, what am I getting rid of here? Let's get rid of this. I have too many items now. I have to sell some stuff or something. I'm currently reading A History of the USSR by Andrew Rothstein, who was a co-founder of the original Communist Party of Great Britain and whose family was a close acquaintance with Lenin himself when he was living in exile in London in the 1900s. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I was just binging Finnish Bolsheviks videos the other day. I'm like, I need to study the early USSR more. And just like binged watch a bunch of his. I don't think it's gonna work. Didn't work. Just binged watch a bunch of his videos, which was awesome. His videos are so well researched and so well done. I feel like they would have more views. Like he's pretty monotone with his delivery. You know, you can tell he's focused on having good research and having a lot of factual knowledge and well-sourced stuff in his videos, more so than he's focusing on, you know, having a high presentation value or, you know, having or production value or whatever you call it. He's more just focused on getting the information out. So I don't mind that at all. I love watching it. I don't mind his delivery at all. But I imagine that's what prevents him from being like super viral. That and algorithmic suppression. But, you know, that's what makes Second Thought so amazing. Like, obviously, Second Thought isn't a master theorist or anything. He has a good grasp on theory, but it's his presentation value and his ability to distill complex concepts and make them easy to understand for people. It's just like his production value is just out of control, like way better than almost any other leftist. So you drop something. Oh well. So I try and learn from all these people. I try and learn by increasing our production value. Even try and learn from like other Twitch streamers who do gaming streams, like what we're doing right now. Learn from everyone. Because I like, and I'm from South Africa. Well, that explains it. Did you see that I changed my profile picture on my main TikTok recently? I did not. I haven't been using TikTok much other than to post for the last like many months, actually. What did you change it to? I watched the Finnish Bolshevik video on the Finnish school system. Yeah, he's got a lot of videos about Finland, obviously, but his videos on the Soviet Union are great. I watched his video about Trotsky yesterday, and I learned a lot. That was just part one of him reacting to some documentary about Trotsky. I'm excited for him to come out with part two. I was sad that there's not a part two yet, because it's really, really interesting. But yeah, he's pretty great. One of the best Marxist-Leninist YouTubers, that's for sure. He also did like a top 10, and I kind of want to do something like this too. Like a top 10 or a tier list. So those tier lists tend to go viral when people do those. But it was like a top 10 murderous killers or top 10 most murderous regimes or something, which is like the kind of Watch Mojo video that you would watch, and you know they'd be like, number 2, Mao. Mao starved 1 million people just because he felt like it. Number 1, Stalin. Stalin ate all of the Ukrainians' grain with a giant spoon. because he's an evil communist, and communism is when you starve. But obviously, since the Finnish Bolshevik did it, it wasn't like that. It was an actual top 10 video, an actual video of the 10 worst dictators ever. And it had a lot of anti-communist leaders like Suharto in India, or I mean in Indonesia. Was it Suharto or Sukarno? Sukarno was the one who was ousted, right? And Suharto was the US-backed dictator. It had Pinochet, it had Singamri in South Korea. Changed my profile pic to an early 1920s Stalin sitting next to that meme of Bernie Sanders at Biden's inauguration. That is a hilarious meme. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a good profile picture for sure. I thought that was going to trigger a cutscene. I know exactly the picture you're talking about.
Journeyer of the long road, name yourself.
I am the summoner Yuna. I have come from the island of Besaid.
Your eyes, my dear, show
Audio
me
good?
the long road you have
Sound
traveled.
good?
Very good. You have journeyed well. Lady Yunaleska will surely welcome your arrival. Go to her now and bring your guardians with you. Go.
Yes.
I'll find it again and post it in the meme section of the Discord. Please do. I gotta check the meme server more. That would, like, memes tend to blow up on TikTok.
Benefit the future of Spira.
I could probably
will
use the
gladly
memes you
give
guys
my
are sending
life.
me to make easy
It
content
is the highest honor for
that
which a
draws
guardian
people
might
to our
ask.
more important content.
Use my life, Lady Yoken, and rid Spira of sin. What was that?
Our
I'm gonna check it right now.
She said Lady Yoken, didn't she? Wait, she guarded High Summoner Yoken?
What was with the boob
This
shot?
dome is filled with fireflies. It's like one gigantic sphere.
The feminist in me is mad
People's
at that.
thoughts remain here forever.
Excuse me. Memes. Thought he was just gonna die. These things, the enemies at this point in the game have so much health. What the heck, man? They do a lot of damage. This should be illegal. Absolutely illegal and off limits. I wish I could remember some of the better memes from the Bernie campaign, because there were a lot of good ones. Man, did anyone else work on the Bernie campaign? I definitely don't regret my time working on the campaign. It taught me a lot. Like, I learned so much from that, but, you know, I guess ultimately I wish I could have put my time elsewhere, but I don't know. Like, it's not like I was really pitching people on Bernie Sanders, you know. I was becoming a Marxist at that point, so I was just pitching people on socialism, right? On Medicare for all and on all the, like, explicitly socialist economic policies that Bernie Sanders was offering. Like, Medicare for all is a, you know, step towards socialism. It's a nationalization of the majority of the insurance industry so that you can move towards a public form of funding people's health care. So that's the kind of stuff we were pitching people on, more so than, you know, Bernie as a cult of personality or whatever, even though that's what the mainstream media said it was. Like, we're just a bunch of Bernie bros, you know, following him because it's a cult of personality. Like, no, dude, he doesn't have, like, hardly any personality. We're We're just going for the guy who is promising to give us universal health care. The only guy who's not bought and paid for by the insurance industry completely. You know, which is, you know, and for that reason, I guess I'll always have some modicum of respect for Bernie, because he was the only candidate in that election who was willing to talk about things that would benefit the working class. But still, his strategy was just so dumb. He listened to Democratic staffers, you know, every single step of the way. He became corrupted more and more and more and more by the Democratic Party as time went on. He abandoned the pro-working class, pro-union strategy that helped him become a politician in Vermont in the first place, and flipped Vermont from a deeply red state to a state that was voting for a socialist year after year after year. Which, watch my book review of Bernie's autobiography if you want to know more about that and how based his strategy was when he was in Vermont before he became, you know, a national politician. And now he's cheering on the war in Ukraine and condemning Cornel West for hurting the Democratic Party. Like, and some people deny, you know, some people are like, Bernie's always been like this, but no, he hasn't. You got to read his autobiography, Outsider in the White House, or whatever that gets called. Read what Bernie was like before he started running for president, before he got into national politics. He was a much, much, much different politician. He would literally just go to the unions in Vermont, in his area, and be like, what do you guys want? There's a lot of potholes in this road. You want this road paved? Okay, that's what I'm going to fight for. Oh, you want a public park here? Okay, that's what I'm going to fight for. Oh, you guys are going on strike? Okay, I'm going to go stand at the picket line and, you know, do anything I can to fight for you in the government. It wasn't, you know, a hyper focus on like culture war issues or, you know, the main issues that MSNBC and Fox News talk about that are hyper polarizing. Right, he was talking about basic economic things, or doing basic things to better the material conditions or economic conditions or day-to-day life of his constituency. You know, and like I said, he was an independent socialist, and most of the people in his district were Republicans, right? But he didn't go to them and say, "Oh, you voted for Trump," or obviously it wouldn't have been Trump back then. But, "Oh, you voted Republican. I don't care about you. I'm going to write you off," or "You're my enemy." No, he said, I don't really care what your politics are. What do you need? What's going to improve your day-to-day life? That's what I'm going to fight for. And in doing that, he got a bunch of these people who considered themselves Republicans to continually re-elect a socialist. He changed their political views by doing things that benefited them, that made their day-to-day lives better, by not hyper-focusing on these polarizing issues that dominate the national debate. And then by 2020, that strategy had completely changed. And I've said this a million times, but like the voting app they gave us that was designed by the campaign would only take you to registered Democrats' houses. So we'd be in like these bougie neighborhoods trying to pitch people on Medicare for all. And they'd be like, well, I already have healthcare. I don't really care. You know, I don't even want my healthcare being messed with. So we were talking to all these like wealthy people who happen to be registered Democrats, rather than talking to the kind of people we should have been talking to, the kind of people who need healthcare, the kind of people who were desperate for the policies that Bernie was offering, the economic policies at least. Uh-oh. He kicked Lulu. Found it. Check the Discord, bet. Opinion on East German communist music? I don't know much about it. I wish I did. You're going to have to send me some examples of East German communist music so I can listen. Because I'd be super down to listen to that. I just don't know anything about it. Bernie was loud about military spending in the 90s. Yeah, if you go back and watch his like tirades against Iraq, they're amazing. And I mean, at that time, he did vote for the bombing of Yugoslavia. In 1999 or whatever, which is why Michael Parenti split with him. But still, him railing against the Iraq war was amazing. He was saying this is based on lies. you know, they're using Saddam Hussein as a boogeyman to lie us into an illegal war, blah, blah, blah. Like, calling it out at the root. They just want the oil. It's a war for economic expansion and to enrich the military industrial complex. You know, and now to see him like just you rah rah, more money for Ukraine. Like, man, he's gotten really bad. But I guess that pro-war, I mean, the pro-war stuff has always been in the history of social democrats. They always capitulate to imperialism or have trouble seeing through the lies of imperialism. But I mean, that's always been there in Bernie's character. If you look at, like I said, his support for the NATO carpet bombing of Serbia and former Yugoslavia, that Bernie voted for. He's always been susceptible to the imperialists and the NATO lies. I don't know what it was about Iraq that allowed him to see through it. Maybe it's literally just the fact that Iraq was perpetrated by a Republican president, and the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia was Bill Clinton, Democrat, and the Ukraine proxy war is obviously Joe Biden, Democrat. So maybe that's what it is with Bernie. Maybe he's just like being a partisan hack in that sense. Actually, now that I think about it, that probably is it. That probably is it. He's probably always had, since he stopped being an independent and joined the Democratic Party, he's probably started capitulating to the Democratic Party. Oh, shoot, he's immune? Stupid. Why haven't I been using armor break on these guys? Okay, now this is going to go a little faster. Dang, these things have so much health. I recommend the East German national anthem. Okay. That's the kind of music you listen to, like different countries' national anthems. I like it. I will listen to the East German national anthem. You support the mad nuke-wielding Saddam bin Laden? Saddam bin Laden Vladimir Putin? I don't know. Isn't it funny how the boogeyman strategy has always been the same thing? It's just always been Leader A is Hitler. We need to invade Leader A's country or bomb the crap out of them to stop them from being Hitler. A lot of people actually believe that the NATO bombing in Yugoslavia prevented a genocide, even though the International Criminal Tribunal exonerated Milosevic, the boogeyman who the U.S. was accusing of genocide like 4 years after the bombing ended. Because, you know, the NATO bombing of like farms and power plants and factories and all this infrastructure in Yugoslavia was way closer to an act of genocide than what was going on previous. I mean, there was like tons of conflict going on between different nationalist groups and ethnic groups, but again, that was provoked by the U.S. They had the KLA, the Kosovo Liberation Army, listed as a terrorist group. And then they took them off the list of terrorist groups and started flooding, you know, arms and money into them. So, yeah, there were, you know, different nationalist groups fighting each other to the death. It was terrible, but that was, the U.S. wanted that. They tried to promote that as much as they could to destabilize the country. You support Putin? No. I'm a based Putinist.
No! Mother, no! I don't want you to become a babe!
There is no
young
other way.
Seymour.
Use me and defeat sin. Only then will the people accept you.
I don't care about them! I need you, Mother! No one else!
I don't
Dang.
have much
Not their
time
best
left.
voice actor, huh?
Hey, wasn't that... Seymour?
That was weird. Heal up quick. That was really weird. I guess now we know how Seymour happened. His mom sacrificed herself so he could defeat sin. Original sin. I recommend the song made in honor of the East German Free German youth. This shit goes hard. Okay. Lots of good recommendations that you guys are giving me. Maybe I'll add that to the soundboard. Oh, there's an idea. Socialist music. Or Fortnite. It'd be funny to see you play Fortnite. Dude, I'm terrible at Fortnite. I tried, because like Fortnite, when I was in college, Fortnite was so popular. Everybody was playing Fortnite. So like I would play. I won one game when at the end it was just I just hid in a bush the whole time, and then the two guys who were left got in a firefight and like took each other out. And then I chopped down this guy's structure with my pickaxe and he fell out of it. And then I got a victory royale that way. But it was basically like by accident. You know, I've very rarely in Fortnite gotten like a legitimate kill or done something that's actually good. I'm just terrible at shooting games. I've always played games like this, like RPGs and stuff, and just have never gotten into Call of Duty and stuff like that, which is maybe why I'm a communist nowadays, because I never got into the State Department funded and CIA controlled Call of Duty. It's basically a psyop to get kids to be pro-war and pro-American exceptionalism. Read what Mint Press News has published about Call of Duty if you want to know more about that. I've also done a bunch of TikToks on it, but anyways, never got into those kinds of games, so yeah, I don't think playing Fortnite on stream is an option. I do, you know, there's a lot of stuff I would do just to please the audience, right? I'll give y'all pretty much whatever you want. But nobody wants to watch me play Fortnite. That'll just be painful for everybody involved. Promise. Deeply painful. I'm so bad. I tried to play Borderlands with my buddy in college, and he was literally like, I don't like watching you play. I don't even understand like what you're even trying to do. I don't get it. I don't get how you can be so bad. I was like, I don't know, dude. I just don't play these games. Hill State Fishing, let's go. Let's go. Round of applause. The people's moderator is here. What's up, Hill State Fishing? Good to see you. Sup, comrades? What up? Call of Duty 2 starts out with a Soviet campaign, though. That's cool. Maybe they did that to get the journalists and people off their back. I would play the Soviet campaign. And only the Soviet campaign. Definitely not the Call of Duty campaign where you kill Fidel Castro. Whoever came up with that can suck it. This is what I was talking about. Oh, thank you, Jacob. Thanks for the link. Gosh, Kimari is just not what I need him to be right now. He just needs to get better. Needs to get tougher. I'm pretty sure that Call of Duty campaign where you kill Fidel, though, it turns out it's not Fidel. Because I made a TikTok about that went kind of viral, and a bunch of Call of Duty simps were like, no, it's not even real Fidel. You just kill a Fidel body double. It's like, well, that is more realistic, because how many the CIA tried to kill Fidel like 600 times, and it failed every time because of Cuban intelligence and what they did to protect him from the assassination efforts. So the U.S. trying to kill Fidel and then accidentally, you know, just killing his body double, that's a more realistic thing to imagine than the U.S. actually killing Fidel, which they tried to do 600 times. Fidel was warning Salvador Allende, too. He's like, bro, you're a socialist. The U.S. is going to try to kill you. You have to be more careful. And Allende's like, nah, it'll be fine.
Hey, Braska.
No.
You don't have to do this.
No, Pinochet's running your
for
country.
your concern. Fine, I said my piece.
Moscow
Well,
map
I
is
haven't.
inaccurate, not surprised.
Lord Braska, let us go back. I don't want to see you die.
You knew this was to happen, my friend.
Yes, but I cannot accept it.
Oren, I am honored that you care for me so. But I have come to kill grief itself. I will defeat sin and lift the veil of sorrow covering Spira. Please understand, Oren.
Gonna defeat grief itself? That seems impossible. How can you defeat all sadness? Campaign sucks. It spreads the anti-communist myth that the Soviet didn't have enough weapons in World War II, like they imply that they used potatoes as grenades. That's absurd. When the main reason that the Soviets won was because they were able to mass produce a lot faster than the Germans, who were focused on like really high-end, like almost luxury style tanks. Whereas the Soviets were just focused on producing as many functional tanks as they could. But the faster, the better. You know, they focused on efficiency. So they just had way more tanks than the Germans. And they won. Even though nobody thought that was going to be possible. That was another thing Finnish Bolshevik talked about. Like, in one of the videos I was watching yesterday, the Western powers just let Hitler do what he wanted in Czechoslovakia and the Sudetenland, and Hitler then eventually decided to take out the rival imperialists, right? To not just take out, or they were the Western powers, Europe, France, the U.S. probably would have let him attack the Soviet Union, and you know, there's a lot of evidence that Churchill and others wanted Hitler to attack the Soviet Union. You know, we'll get the rival imperialist power in Germany and the communists to fight each other and weaken each other. And then Hitler decided to take out his imperialist enemies in France, and you know, eventually wanted to take out the UK. So that's when Britain and France and the Western countries finally got involved in the war. And obviously the U.S. was the last to enter the war, I believe. But for a while, it was just the Soviet Union fighting off Hitler. And then they try and rewrite history and say that there was an alliance between Hitler and Stalin because of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and it was the heroic Western countries who fought fascism. No, liberalism has always, always, always capitulated to fascism. Not to communism, because communism threatens what liberalism actually cares about, which is capital, the accumulation of capital, and protecting private property. I think the Castro thing was written by David S. Goyer. He wrote a lot of Marvel movies. Sounds about right. Marvel's about as tight with the U.S. military and the Pentagon as freaking Call of Duty is. I mean, Iron Man is literally a weapons contractor who's the hero of a movie. Like, that's literally what he is. Like an Elon Musk, if Elon was just a weapons contractor for the military.
Probably.
Here too, huh? Give me a break. I was expecting, you know, parades and fireworks.
Fireworks!
You can ask
that
for
Noah?
them after I defeat sin.
It's Noah. We got 30 hours in this game. I mean, that's what's playing on fast forward, but okay, I need my guide here. And what is this? Oh, is this Tetris? Is this? Oh. I'm confused at how this works. Oh. How is this done? That's not right. I laugh at the way the CIA tried to kill Castro. Yeah, like exploding cigars. That was one of the funnier ones. The Finnish Bolshevik is awesome. He influenced me to make my name the state team Bolshevik, which is probably what I'm going to refer to myself as from now on. Yeah, that's a good idea to have a pseudonym. But yeah, Finnish Bolshevik is great. He needs more viewers. And if I can't figure out how to do this, I might just end the stream a little bit early and save it for next time. Oh, that was good. How about this? All right. How about that? How about that? It'll work? Nope. Well, I'll call it a stream there. I have my meeting with Noah and Carlos coming up anyways. We went 45 minutes and made it to the Cloister of Trials. I'll do some research and then figure out how to finish this Cloister of Trials. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Follow Midwestern Marx. We'll see you next time.